Hello juniors, and welcome back to Computer Systems and Programming, Release 1. So I just wanted to go over a little bit about this course. So a couple reminders, the release schedule is different this year. It's no longer 1 week, it's 2 weeks. So there will be approximately 2 weeks between every release date and due date. So make sure you're putting in the 2 hours that we expect you to do between that time period. That being said, all the due dates are harder this year, and that leads into the quarters. So when the quarter ends, everything before that quarter will close. So the stuff due on this due date of 10/6 is going to be closed after the 15th. So if you don't turn it in on this due date, you'll lose a large amount of the points, basically all of the points of fall cohort. So you need to make sure that you make this first due date and future due dates. So due this next due date, which is the 6th of October, it is a Saturday, so plan your schedules accordingly. We have hardware notes, laptop replacement spreadsheet, Scratch tutorial, and Scratch plan. So you all didn't get to hear about the Scratch plan, but it is a plan of your final Scratch project. So we gave you the tutorials to give you a little bit of information and help you learn on how to use Scratch. Now you have to make a presentation about all giving me details of how you're going to complete your plan and some ideas for your plan. So it'll be, the first slide is just an introduction. The second will be a list of games that you could create on Scratch, and they have to be original ideas. We don't want something like a maze. We want something new and fresh. And then in the slides following that, you will explain one of your ideas very, very thoroughly. Similarly to how you did in the PB&J activity, you're going to be very thorough about, I'm going to do this, and then this, and then this, because we want to make sure that all of your plans and all of your games are able to happen. So I will look them all over and make sure that it's something that you can program and that you'll be able to do in your time frame. With that being said, let's look at Canvas. So here's the release 1 start here, which is where this video is. The presentation that I just showed you is right here. The hardware notes submission is right here. If you already gave me it in person, then I would have scanned it and uploaded it to Canvas for you, and you can check your grades to make sure that it's on there. For the laptop replacement part submission, this is going to be either a link to a Google spreadsheet or a .xl file or a spreadsheet submitted onto this page, and it should be complete with all of your parts. For the Scratch tutorials, this should be either a link to a Google Doc or a Word document uploaded to the submission spot, and it should have the name of the tutorial that you did and a link to that tutorial. Make sure that you share that publicly on your Scratch game, or else I won't be able to access it. Also make sure that it's a link to the project page, not the editor, because I will not be editing your project, I will be looking at it. And then finally, here's the Scratch plan submission. So in here, as with all the other ones, it'll look like this. You'll have a link to the activity prompt, and then for the plan, you will submit a website URL to a Google Doc or a Google presentation or a presentation upload. And if you need more details or want to listen to what I said before, you can read it on the activity prompt and figure out what you have to do for that presentation. But just make sure you have several ideas and you explain one of those ideas very thoroughly so that we can make sure that it's possible for you to complete. And if you do need help planning your game out, you can use this Scratch plan template. It's right below the submission, and it's just a document that helps walk you through the project planning. We'll need more information than this on the presentation, but this is something that you can use to help your planning of the project. This is not required to use, but it's a good resource to have. Any questions?
So what time on Saturday can I turn in the project and it not be late?
Okay, so everything is due on that due date at 11:59 p.m. So it's all due on the 6th. Once it hits the 7th, it's no longer, that's late.
What happens if I am late? Like I'm working really hard and I just am not finished with everything until Sunday.
So if you do not finish on time, or if you know that you're not going to finish on time, you can send me an email and I'll take that into consideration depending on your situation. But if you so if that's the case, that you know that you're not going to make it, just make sure to reach out to me. If you don't, there may or may not be some things with your points.
Okay. For the scratch plan, does that mean we're actually going to be making that scratch game, and will you kind of help us if our plan has parts that we need help with or something like that?
Yeah, so this presentation that you're making for your scratch plan is the plan for your final scratch game, which will be due in a couple release dates. And what you're going to do is actually build and follow the steps that you wrote. So if you need help with any of those steps, like I don't know how to use this node, or I need more details about this node, you can reach out to me and I can definitely help you with any programming questions you have. But that is the outline you'll follow as you're building your final game. Okay, it was great talking to you, and I'll see you next release.